The Daily Show spinoff, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, has been canceled by TBS. The late-night comedy and satire show ran for 7 seasons. In commemoration of Full Frontal's end, video director for Senator Bernie Sanders fondly remembered this moment from the 2017 White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Welcome back to the show. This election and its aftermath have raised some existential questions, like how far under the bus should Democrats throw women and people of color? And if the Republic falls in the forest, does it crush Don Jr. before he shoots an endangered animal?
Oh, women and people of color famously maligned by Bernie Sanders. As his former national press secretary, you can imagine it was a very painful process to work for the man.
I just don't know how our country will go on without Samantha Bee's commentary. I don't even remember my life before this show began. It's just been the most important show. It's a show that's on, and I absolutely could have told you what network it was on and what it was before we started talking about it, because I have a lot of knowledge about it. And it's so popular. It's impossible to, you see billboards for it. People stop you on the street and ask, did you see Samantha Bee last night or whatever? It's just, it's hard to even go a few steps really without confronting someone who is a fan. So it's really
she planted the seeds of her own irrelevancy by doing bits like that, by being so out of touch with the zeitgeist that she thought that wearing blazers and going rah for Hillary Clinton was meaningful in that kind of a political context. That clip, I believe was from 2016, and it only got staler after that. I mean, 2016 saw half the Democratic Party wake up and realize that, there could be a candidate that actually was against endless war. There was a candidate that actually could be full-throatedly for the kind of social safety net programs that defined the Democratic Party and made it such a powerhouse in the middle part of the last century. And she was standing there spinning crucial moments in the lead up to the 2016 race. I remember. I think it was maybe just 2 weeks before the general election. She spent almost an entire segment making fun of Jill Stein for being in a folk band. I mean, it's so incredibly out of touch.
Yeah, it's the epitome of sort of girl boss feminism, Clintonism as this is surely a winning political strategy, this incredibly shrill and off-putting and not ideologically compelling kind of
Bernie
shtick.
Sanders is a man, and therefore he is throwing women under the bus by not being a woman, unlike Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's the whole substance of that kind of a bit.
Well, journalist Glenn Greenwald certainly is not so much of a fan. He mourned Full Frontal's cancellation, just as I did, I think. He wrote on Twitter, quote, "This program was typically dead last in the ratings for late night shows, barely attracting an audience size of a mid-level YouTuber. Even the barely visible Don Lemon has more people watching. This show will be missed by a few dozen liberals." I guess it is a kind of example of the decline of, the sort of late night liberal talk show. We all have fond memories of the Jon Stewart era, right? In which an era in which his very cutting criticism of George Bush, the approach to the Iraq War, was must-see TV. Was really the voice of not just a liberal voice, but a voice of everyone who really thought these wars were pretty stupid. And it was funny, and it was on point, and it was political. And it was a winning recipe for him. And then ever since no one has it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, because people have shifted online. I mean, there's a lot of talk about how people need to log off and get offline. But when it comes to a lot of these late night shows, I think they should definitely log on and see what the commentary is like on YouTube, because that's where everybody's flocking, and with good reason. Things move faster, and media ecosystems are smaller in ways that because in fact they're avoiding all of these big folks on the cable news cycles who kind of filter all the information through. There's a lot more happening, and the kind of ideological paths that people get funneled into are a lot more discreet. You can't just get on TV and say, Republicans, am I right? That's not the world we live in anymore. And, in that tweet thread, Glenn listed a bunch of late night show rankings. I had no idea that Greg Gutfeld was like number 2.
Oh, yeah.
And the overall
I know, I've been on his show. He's
ranking,
killing it, yeah.
The average liberal is not tuned into that at all. And I wouldn't be familiar with his clips if I didn't see them on YouTube all the time. I'm certainly not watching them on the
And
cable
Gutfeld
news.
styles himself in a kind of, he views the show as a sort of a conservative answer to a late night liberal talk show, and he is succeeding by any definition. He has a massive, massive audience.
Yeah, and my take on that is like, you have to be willing to have takes. On YouTube, when people aren't being filtered through a bunch of producers, perhaps, I don't know what the exact causality is, but it does seem like there is a rawness, a willingness to offend, even though I don't obviously agree with the politics of his humor or his takes. You're not seeing that kind of punchiness on many of the liberal shows, even the successful ones. You are seeing it on the internet, or I think people feel confident to be a lot more free. So I'm not surprised by what's happened with Samantha Bee, because she really was a dinosaur even among that space of old media.
Yeah, but what will we do without her show, Briahna? So sad. How will the world go on? This might be the end.
Well, there's less competition for snazzy blazers in the women's section.
Snazzy blazer lady. All right, tomorrow on Rising, we'll be digging into the record-breaking heat wave sweeping the country with our expert panel. Now, finally, in our own country, so now I can know what the temperature means because of this Celsius. How can you even tell?
Right.
Just kidding. This is a fun segment where I'm angling for Samantha Bee's hour, clearly.
Well, she's Canadian, so she gets the Celsius.
Oh, forget it. I'm out.
Well, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including where they tell the temperature in Celsius. Catch us on the Plex TV app, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.